Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of College Football on Air. I am your host, as always, Carl Mogline. I was gonna say I had a nickname, like it was gonna be Carl the something Mogline, but I lack a nickname to put in there. Alright, first off, we have a format change. We're gonna do 2 shows a week instead of 1. 1 because I know you love us so much, and 2 because we're gonna do 1 recap show, which will hopefully be before Wednesday most weeks, and 2 because these shows get long and nobody really wants to listen to me talk for 3 hours. But you can listen to me to an hour and a half twice a week. Yay! First off, I'm going to start this off with more stuff about what I always talk about. Follow me on Twitter at Carl_PM. And it's Carl with a K, and you better do that right, because otherwise I'll be annoyed. So that's what I have to say about that. Like College Football on Air on Facebook, like National Sports on Facebook, like other things on Facebook, like Rookies Roundup on Facebook, our very favorite person in the world, Jake Laker's show. Jake Laker will be on later, but first I'm just going to give quick congratulations to the 2013 Boston Red Sox as they are world champions. Third one in the past 10 years, so good 10 years after a pretty terrible 100. Is about the idea you get from that, I guess. Alright, now we can welcome in the man, the legend. He may sing in the shower, we're not even sure. It's Jake Laker.
Hey Carl, I am very excited to be here, and I can promise you that I do sing in the shower.
Good to know.
And anybody who doesn't has something wrong with them.
Or is lying. Okay.
True.
Alright, we're gonna talk about scores, but I have to talk about a couple pieces of news. Just because they amuse me. They amuse me. But, Alright, first off, Everett Golson, the former quarterback of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, has officially released why he was, released from Notre Dame. Apparently, it was because he had poor judgment on a test. AKA, we're assuming he cheated. Aw, shucks. Well, I actually didn't care about Everett Golson that much, so I'll be okay with this. Other than that, I don't care about a lot of things. The NCAA added 5 new rules, and they're all pretty lame. One of them is just talking about how many meals you can give parents on an official visit. Actually, it's family members on an official visit. But Jake is giving me a very shocked face right now, which is why I'm actually going to go read that rule just to tell Jake about it, because I'm pretty sure he's very confused right now. Alright, the new rules include, and this is the last one, allowing schools to pay for meals for up to 4 family members who accompany a recruit on an official visit. Which I guess is semi-interesting.
No.
There's also new dead periods, where you can't in-person recruit. Doesn't mean a lot to me. And, yeah. Some stuff about weight training. Also, I don't even get this one. School staff members are prohibited from attending all-star games or activities associated with these. I don't get it. Also, it doesn't say high school or college. So I'm not sure if that means, Shrine Bowl things, or if it means, Under Armour All-American game. Either way, they can't go. So, that's something, I guess, interesting. But let's talk about something that is not just kinda interesting, but really interesting. And we're gonna first talk about this game. We're gonna talk about Nebraska number 24 and Minnesota. And this should have been a very easy one, or as we suspected for Nebraska, but it wasn't. They lost 34-23. Minnesota was down after the first quarter, 10-7, but then they came back and they won. Minnesota won and is now 6-2 and bowl eligible. On a scale of 1 to ridiculous, how surprised are you about this, Jake?
Very surprised, I guess. Jerry Kill did have to go.
But guess what? He was in the booth anyway, and he's returning to coaching, but he's gonna return to coaching in the booth. I think it's kind of genius. I don't think he can get amped up back up there. It seems smart to me. I like it. I don't really care that UCF crushed UConn. Louisville pounded USF. Oklahoma State had no issue with Iowa State. Jake Liker's 15th favorite team.
What?
Iowa State is officially your 15th favorite team.
They're my third favorite team.
Third? That's up there. What's your second favorite team? I know your first favorite team is UCLA.
My second favorite team is Xavier.
Xavier. Is that for their basketball program?
My favorite letter is X.
Ah, there we go.
So
Nice.
did you know, for example, that my second favorite team is the Jaguars? Because their initials used to be JAX.
Well, Portland's PDX, so like the Trailblazers, boy.
I like the Trailblazers. I think Lillard's actually a really good guy.
They got, I wouldn't say they got crushed, but they lost pretty badly to the Suns today, and I was kind of annoyed by that one. I was watching, and they came back, and then they decided to suck again, and it wasn't that fun. Alright, Northern Illinois crushed Eastern Michigan. Fresno State had way too much issues with San Diego State, only win by 7. Oopsie. Duke beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was 14th. And then Duke won. Duke in a football game. Congratulations to Duke. They are now also bowl eligible at 6-2. So we now have Duke is bowl eligible as well as Minnesota. Somebody who knows random stats needs to look up whether this has ever happened before, because I'm not sure. Alright, 16 Texas A&M had no issues with Vanderbilt, really, and is now bowl eligible. You get our theme today? It's kind of that time of year. Both LSU and Auburn had no true issues, so we don't need to talk about that. Now my least favorite game of the week, the game that makes me the most sad. Texas Tech lost to Oklahoma, 38-30. I'm deeply depressed by this game because, well, I kind of loved that. All right, so me and Jake, he's a Kings fan, I'm a Sharks fan. He wants to bring up something. He wants to bring up the fact the Kings beat the Sharks in OT. To combat that point, I would like to bring up the NHL standings. Yes, this is a college football show, but it's my show, giving me control. Let's see. The Kings now have 18 points in 14 games, while the Sharks have 13 points in 22 games, and the Sharks have 1 regulation loss compared to the Kings' 5. Now we can talk about college football again.
No. When's the last time the Sharks won it all?
We're not talking about this.
Don't you go there. I will go all Sharknado on you.
Oh. Yep, okay, I'm not bringing...
Shots fired.
Okay, whatever. Clemson only beat Maryland by 13, but okay. I don't really care. Baylor crushed Kansas. Nothing really surprising there. At all. Miami had a lot of trouble with Wake Forest. They won 24-21. They had to score on a late touchdown run.
They have trouble with everyone these days, I'm sorry.
Miami's going to lose to Florida State. That's just a fact. Florida State's a 21-point favorite.
Wow, that's not fair.
It really isn't. But we're going to get to unfair point spreads later. Cough, cough, Oregon, UCLA.
You know what, Carl?
Okay. Then Stanford won by 8 over Oregon State. It was so pretty much close-ish. Yeah. Oregon State did pretty well, but, you know, Mannion didn't throw for 5,000 yards, so they didn't win. But Oregon State did have a good day defensively, because holding any opponent to 20 points, because this is a team that couldn't hold Eastern Washington below 20 points, it's a good day for them defensively. Then we go, this may be my second least favorite game of the day, mainly because our very close sports broadcasting camp friend, Brandon Beyer, goes to Mizzou. We all know he was very excited about this Mizzou team, and then they were up 17 going into the fourth quarter against South Carolina, and they lost in 2 overtimes.
I just want to say something. This was my first ever big upset call on the show, and I was right. So call, move over. There is a new king in town, and he is not biased toward the Bird Ducks.
Okay, I'm still awesome. Deal with it. Alright, Ohio State crushed Penn State as we I didn't expect it to be this big though. I expected them to win, but not by 49. That's a big one. Penn State's worst loss since 1899. 114 years since they've lost that bad. Yahowza! Florida State did not have any issues with NC State, so we don't have to really talk about that. I will leave the UCLA Oregon game for last because me and Jake have to talk about it a little longer. I would like to say though, Alabama won 45-10 against Tennessee, showing very comparable to Oregon against the team and giving no team a very lenient edge over there. Alabama won by 35, Oregon by 45. I'd say it's about split even. Now we're gonna go to a very special game to me and Jake's heart. The game of formerly number 12 UCLA and formerly number 3 Oregon. Oregon and UCLA tied going into the into half. Oregon only scored 1 touchdown in the third quarter, and then, well, the fourth quarter happened. Oregon scored 3 touchdowns to win by 28 and cover the spread. Jake, would you like to repeat that point spread for us?
I can't remember the point spread. I kind of prefer not to remember it.
You don't... Jake, you know what? And I'm trying... I know I believe the point spread.
It was 21, I believe.
Yeah, it was 21.5 was the spot. And I remember sending you a text saying that's just outrageous and, like, disrespectful. And then they covered it.
We didn't try and pass the ball. Like, we didn't even try.
Oh, yeah, that brings me to my next point. Brett Hundley did not do... Actually, the thing is, he didn't do that terrible. I mean, he was 13 for 19. Of course, 2 of those 6 incompletions were for interceptions. He also only averaged 3.4 yards per pass.
Brett Hundley's been talking with Rock Nation.
That's only a report, though. It has been denied by the Hundley family.
Well, of course, it's going to be denied by the Hundley family. We don't need extra drama unless you're Johnny Football. Great Halloween costume idea, by the way, if you're still looking for one. Alright, so here's what you do. You put on a man's jersey, and everybody you walk up to, you give them your autograph whether they want it or not. And then, when you get candy, you give them a show me the money sign, and you walk away. Because that's what Johnny Football would do.
I would like to apologize for the slight technical difficulties me and Jake are having currently. Sound is being a little sketchy. I apologize for that. But I would want to bring up one thing. There was a rush by a player named Rodney Hardrick. This is a player that nobody's really going to know because he had 1 carry all day. He's a junior linebacker. But he also is on punt coverage. Well, today in punt coverage, he got a fake one. And he ran the ball for 66 yards on a fake punt. And guess what? He had more yards on that play than Hundley had passing all day. And that concludes our coverage of me talking about Oregon. And now we can talk about other things. We're going to go to rankings. Because this is probably my favorite part about talking about Jake, is yelling at him about rankings. Starting with the USA Today poll. And we're just going to talk about the top 5. It goes Baylor, Ohio State, Florida State, Oregon, Bama. Yeah. Not a lot of stuff to talk about. Notre Dame is back in at 25, and that kind of bugs me, because I don't believe Notre Dame is actually a top 25 team. Then, in the AP, you have Baylor, Ohio State, Florida, Oregon, Bama. What does that sound like? Oh yeah, the USA Today poll top 5. But luckily Notre Dame is only the pseudo 26 team in this. So that's good. Other teams in this that have weird rankings, there's not a lot. Because actually the AP poll looks pretty good. UCF up to 16th there. Who knew? But now we move to the most important poll in the world of college football. It is something we all know as Evil McEvilness. It is the wonders of the BCS standings. Some run, some hide. Well, we just analyze them. These are the things that determine the college football championship, really. And we're going to talk about them. First off, we'll just go through the top 5. Actually, I want to go through the top 10 because there's some weird stuff happening. Oklahoma's number 10. Missouri's number 9. Clemson's number 8. Miami 7. Baylor 6. Stanford 5. And that's an interesting spot for a team that got 6th in the Harris poll and 7 in the USA table. Maybe a little sketchy there. Then you got Ohio State holding steady at 4, Bama holding steady at 1, and Oregon leapfrogging Florida State to move up to number 2 by a considerable margin of 0.3 of a point. So, yes, now we're going to talk about computer rankings. These are very interesting. There are 6 computer rankings. The top ranking for each team and the bottom ranking for each team are thrown out, which means that the ranking that put Oregon number 1, the Colley matrix, is thrown out just for Oregon, of course. And their Sagarin ranking of 4 is also thrown out. You look and then, so Florida State has a 5 thrown out and a 1 thrown out. And Bama has a 1 thrown out and a 2 thrown out. They had a pretty good week. They scored 990. They scored 99% on their computer average. Bama had a 0.9937 computer, a total BCF average. That is about as perfect as it gets. It's pretty close. That's semi-ridiculous. Their lowest score in any of them was that computer average, even though it was still 99%. I don't even... Yeah, that's possible. But talking about that Stanford-Baylor thing. Stanford number 5, Baylor number 6. Mainly, the key thing for this, Baylor has a 10th ranked computer average compared to Stanford's 5th ranked computer average. This is able to combat the large difference in human polls with a even larger difference in computer rankings. Jake, how disappointed are you with these rankings?
If computers had feelings, I would try and hurt them. Because this is horrible. It is a disgrace. This team is undefeated. Stanford shouldn't be 6th. Miami's undefeated. I mean, listen, I'm not saying Fresno State and Northern Illinois should go above them, but come on.
I think there's an argument that Stanford's better than Miami. You can argue that.
No, there is no argument.
Hashtag Wake Forest.
No, look, stop it. I don't care. They have won. They have won all their games, and Stanford has not.
Okay then. Jake has made his feelings known.
Oh, they will be known on the show. That's what doing radio broadcasts are all about.
Alright, I want to bring up one of my favorite random things. There are 3 different teams that are not ranked by any of the... They get a 0 on the computers. Overall, they're all tied for 29th in computer ranking. Wisconsin, Louisville, and Oklahoma State all have a 0% in computer average, yet they're still ranked. Oklahoma State all the way up to 18th because somehow the coaches think they're 12th. I don't see Oklahoma State as the 12th best team in the country, but that's just me. So we're going to talk about our top 5, and I'm going to let Jake go first, because he doesn't really give surprises.
Oh, quiet you. Can we do top 10? I feel like that'd be more interesting.
Fine. Oh, jeez, I have to think more, but fine.
Yeah, thank you.
I know it's terrible. Go.
You're right, I don't have that prepared. So I will give you the top 7.
Top 7? That's just cheating. Fine, I'll allow it. Mainly because that actually makes sense, because everybody knows. Kind of below there's a couple ways to do it, but we're not going to argue about that. Go top 7.
Actually, no, I'm just kidding. Give me top 6.
Nope, give me your top 7. Cause
Top 6.
7.
6 is Miami. 5 is Baylor. 4 Ohio State. 1 Alabama. 3 Florida State. 2 Oregon.
There we go. Nice pick. I'm assuming your number 17 would be Stanford then.
I was going to do that, but I wasn't sold on it.
So you're saying Auburn or Clemson or Missouri could be 7.
Auburn's going to be the team that beats Alabama. Is going to be the reason that they don't make it to the national championship.
Are there any? What are the 2 teams that will be undefeated at the end? Is there 2 teams that will be undefeated at the end of the season?
I believe the term is "are there," and the answer to that question would be yes. The Florida State Seminoles and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
That is an interesting viewpoint. I will accept it and disagree with it. But actually, I wouldn't be surprised if both of those teams are undefeated. Although Ohio State does worry me at being undefeated. Let's talk about my top 7 because I can. I think the AP poll basically hit it almost right on the head. Miami is 7th. I put Stanford 6th. I don't care what you say about that. They're a better team. Baylor's 5. No, Baylor's 4. Excuse me. Ohio State is 5. Baylor's a better team than Ohio State in my eyes. I think Baylor would beat Ohio State. That's just plain and simple. I put Florida State 3, Oregon number 1, and Alabama number 2. So a couple changes, but pretty close to where the AP pool is. We're not arguing Oregon-Bama because we don't really need to. We could just argue that a lot. Other things to note, that those are disagreements and stuff like that. I have gone on now for a whopping 21, actually leaning in on 22 minutes. This is going to be a half an hour show. This is going to be our shorter show of the week. So, I'm going to do something that I normally don't like doing. I'm going to talk about the Heisman race. And this is very interesting for me to talk about because I especially when one of the early episodes, I did a rant on how much I hated Heisman polling early in the season, like preseason Heisman stuff. Well, guess what? It's not preseason anymore. So let's talk about it. This is off ESPN's Heismanology poll. This is a poll that takes all the ESPN people who have Heisman votes and poll them to see what things are. Alright, basically, I'm only going to talk about a couple of them. So Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston are very, very close. Mariota has 8 of the 16 first place votes and 8 of the second place votes. Basically, people say he's first or second. Winston is very close to that, but he only has 7 first place votes, while Johnny Manziel still holds on to 1. Most people think Johnny Manziel is third. My personal favorite Heisman vote. One Heisman voter gave a 5th place vote to Connor Shaw. I don't care if it's a 5th place vote. That is ridiculous. Connor Shaw deserves like negative votes. I don't even care. So that's what I have to say. AJ McCarron and Melvin Gordon, the running back at Wisconsin, both have a very nice collection of low placing votes, as well as Bryce Petty. Bryce Petty could go to New York at his current pace. The junior quarterback at Baylor. Yes, Jake, you can talk.
Obviously, I mean, I'm very excited to finally talk about the Heisman voting. I was going to say Mariota's 1 simply because he is not the one to pick. Winston is 2, and number 3 is Jordan Lynch for Northern Illinois. And you know what? This kid has got game. He will be playing on Sundays. Mark my words.
Yeah.
I love this kid.
I do too, although I worry they're going to end up making him a running back somehow.
Hopefully not.
I know, he's not actually good enough to be a running back, but he's a good runner as a quarterback just because he reads defenses really well.
Yeah, and now it's time for college football on-air trivia. Carl, who was the last white, non-quarterback Heisman winner?
White, non-quarterback. Okay, so that means I don't get to, have like the the Tim Tebow. I'm assuming.
He's
See, there's so many quarterbacks. That's the issue. Okay, can you at least give me, like, is it within the last 10 years?
It is most certainly not.
Okay, we're going way back?
Yeah.
Are we going before 80?
We are going before 80.
Yeah, I have no clue.
How about from Penn State in 1973, the running back John Cappelletti.
You knew I wasn't gonna get that. That's just cheap trivia.
So good trivia.
Fine. It's my turn for trivia then. Let's go. Continuing our Heisman jaunt. Without looking at anything, who won the 2003 Heisman?
What?
The 2003 Heisman winner.
Oof. Can you give me a conference?
Big 12.
Is this a team that's still in the Big 12?
Yes, it is a team that is still in the Big 12. It's not Couch.
Is it Vince Young?
No, it is Jason White.
What? Hello, you have to give me more chances to guess.
Nope. Jason White won the Heisman in 2003. We have like 3.5 minutes left, and we are going to talk about one more thing. It is me and Jake's favorite thing in the world. It is the Capital One Mascot Challenge. Yay! We talk about this, and it's really fun because this is like our favorite thing in the world. The Capital One Bowl.
I think Alec Baldwin wins by default.
I have to agree on that one. Probably. I think he's cheating, actually, personally, but that's not the point. We're gonna look at the Capital One Mascot Challenge at CapitalOneBowl.com. By the end of this show, they're gonna owe us gratuities for the amount of time we talk about this. Alright. In the Capital One Bowl.
Because I have everything right in front of me so you can stop stalling.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Rocky Bull USF.
Whoa! Taking a lead. That's new.
He is 8-0. Sparty is no longer undefeated at Michigan State. He is 7-1. Pokebird and Raider Red from Virginia Tech and Texas Tech are each 6-2, as well as Monty from the University of Montana. On the other side of the spectrum, you got the Duck from the University of Oregon at 0-8, and Cam Durant from CSU, also at 0-8. And then the remaining guys from worst to best. Liberty Wildcat from UNA, Mike the Tiger from LSU, Baldwin Lee from Boston College, Big J from University of Kansas, Bucky Badger from Wisconsin, Smokey from Tennessee, Big Red from Western Kentucky,
Yep.
Toledo, Petey the Pirate from East Carolina. Done.
Thank you, Jake. That was very, very inspiring. Alright, that was wonderful. I'm just gonna come out here and say I am not a silent fan when it comes to this. I want to tell all of you, go vote for Big Red. Big Red of Western Kentucky. You know, because Western Kentucky can't do a lot of things right, but they can make a great blob of red mascot awesomeness. We have 4 weeks left in the regular season, including this week. We are almost to the playoffs. Western Kentucky, everybody in the world, go vote for Big Red. He's only 5-3, and I think this is a disgrace. And guess what? I just voted for him 4 times. He is currently up on the Kansas mascot Jayhawk, up 96-4%. That is because loyal fans like me go and vote for Big Red. Because Big Red is the way to go, America. That was my big speech for him. Also, go vote for the Duck. He's crushing the Wisconsin Badger right now. You're gonna go vote for the Badger now, aren't you, Jake?
I am, and because I know we're running out of time, I just want to say, check out Rookies Roundup, like our page, we got some great stuff coming up. We're going to be having a live show from LA, followed by Green Bay, followed by Boston, followed by Mexico, the next 4 weeks.
Wait, why are you in Boston?
Continent.
I'm gonna ask you about this later, but because we have no time, I'm gonna say 2 more things. 1, quack. 2, follow me on Twitter at Carl_PM. It's with a K. If you spell it wrong, I will come and find your family, and I will tell you how to spell it right. I'm a nice person. And that concludes our episode of College Football on Air. Come watch us Friday night. Big preview episode. Thank you, and good luck.